Hey everybody, welcome to Kindred Spirits. I'm your host, Kristi Brower, and you're listening live here on Marvelous Monday on 12radio.com. I am so excited to be here with you today because today is a really important day for this show. Kindred Spirits turns 5 today, as in 5 years. I have been on the radio with 12radio.com with this show, Kindred Spirits, for 5 years. I just am so thrilled that I have hit this milestone and been here with all of you for this significant amount of time. My show means a whole lot to me. I love being on the radio. I love being here with you. And I can't even sort of process really what we've built as a community here together in 5 years on my radio show. And I know that we have a tremendous community here at 12 Radio for all of us. But it really means a lot to me to be here with all of you for 5 solid years on the same show. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to talk about my history with radio a little bit, tell you some stories about being on radio. Then I'm going to share a brand new meditation. And I'm also going to give away a couple of readings with me, just choosing at random in the chat. And I'm also going to give away a couple of class bundles because I feel like I had to give some gifts away to the people who have made it possible for me to be here with you for 5 years. So I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. I will be doing readings and healings later on in the show as well. So feel free to post those questions and comments. I am in the chat room times 2. I'm here live on the air, 12 Radio. I'm also live on Facebook Live in the 12 Radio chat room. You can get there by going to 12radio.com, clicking on chat, and that will take you to our Facebook group. You'll find my pinned post at the top of the page, which is where we chat. So if you have a question, may want to make a comment, a request for a reading, please post that there. But you'll also find that I'm live on Facebook Live. On the show as well. So you can watch the show today if you would like, or you can just listen. Don't try to do both because the sound does not match up, but you can certainly do one or the other. And I'm thrilled to be here with you guys today. You might notice if you're in the chat room that I'm wearing multiple hats because I am also producing this show. So, please bear with me if my head feels like it's going to pop off from multitasking. I will be fine. I have produced myself many times, but just wanted you to know that. So when we go to our meditation, I have to play the music myself, which is kind of funny. I'll get to my topic and my Power Peak article and stuff in a few minutes, but I wanted to talk to you first about my experiences with radio. So I've actually been on radio for 7 years. 5 of those years have been here at 12 Radio. We started over on Blog Talk with the Psychic Sisters. My sister Katie, who you all know, Katie Weaver, and my wife Rhonda, and my sister Kara. We formed a show at Blog Talk 7 years ago called the Psychic Sisters. That happened after a very eventful visit to the New Age trade show in Denver. We at the time owned a metaphysical store and spiritual center. We went to the International New Age trade show in Denver, saw several well-known people in the metaphysical world, had multiple readings, were really guided that it was time to take what we do to a larger audience. And so we came home and Katie signed us up for Blog Talk and just told us all, hey, by the way, we're going to be on the radio. And we all went, what? We're going to be on the radio. So she had signed us up for a show. Our original show was on Fridays. It was a call-in show. It was a readings show. The first show we did was Katie and I together, just the two of us. And we had 10 callers on our very first show. I just nearly had a heart attack. I'd never done radio before in my life. And not only were we doing radio, but we had this giant queue of callers, people with all kinds of questions for a psychic. And so we just read for people for an hour. When it was over, I felt like I'd run a marathon. And it was a high I will never forget. I was hooked. I absolutely loved radio from that moment on. I never, ever looked back and went, I don't want to do this anymore. No, all I wanted to do was do more of it because it was so much fun. I never realized what a great way it was to reach so many people in one little experience. So we stayed on Blog Talk Radio for 18 months. And we decided we wanted to get to a larger audience. We wanted to get to better sound quality. We really wanted to learn more. We were self-producing. At the time, we had these terrible little headsets that we were all on the same laptop, and we had splitters, and we would just plug in and all be on the same laptop. I can only imagine what that must have sounded like at the time, but it was what we knew. So we moved from Blog Talk to CBS News Sky Radio, which isn't really functioning, I don't think, anymore, but it was CBS's arm of psychic radio. And we were there for 6 months. We learned a whole lot about radio on a much bigger scale. But one of the weird things about being on CBS News Sky that was supposedly their psychic radio is they wouldn't let us call ourselves the Psychic Sisters. They were afraid of that word, psychic. And so our show was called PSI 911, which stood for Psychic Sisters Investigate 911, but we had to abbreviate it. We weren't allowed to say Psychic Sisters in our name. We said it all the time on our show, but we felt really kind of limited by that. And so we were there with them for 6 months, and when it was time to renew our contract with them, if we wanted to stay or not, we decided that we really didn't. We wanted to go somewhere where we had more freedom. So we started looking around, and Katie emailed 12 Radio and said, hey, this is who we are, and this is what we're doing, and we're looking to move our show. Would you be interested? And that's what happened. We met with Mark and CA, and they loved what we did, and they brought us on, and almost immediately Katie and I became advisors. We did the Psychic Sisters, and Katie and I each launched our own individual shows. So up to that point, for the first 2 years of radio, I had not been on the air by myself, ever. It was always at least 2 of us, often 4 of us. And so Kindred Spirits was my first solo radio experience, where I did my own show. And I loved it so much. When I was getting ready to do my own show, I was pretty nervous about it. I wasn't sure what to call it, what kind of structure to use. You have to figure out all this stuff. There's all this stuff that goes on the back end of radio that you never really think about how you structure your show. What kind of a show is it? How do you choose your topics? All kinds of stuff that happens that radio hosts work on outside of the actual live airtime. And I was sort of kicking around, different names for the show. And my wife, Rhonda, who is a tremendous intuitive, and you guys know her on the Psychic Sisters, and she's amazing. So she was reading a book one night, and she said, I know the name of your show. I said, what? And she said, you need to call it Kindred Spirits. She was reading a book, and somebody referred to their friend as their kindred spirit. And it just hit her, and she said it to me, and it was like fireworks went off, and I knew that was the right name for my show. Now, originally I called it Kindred Spirits because of my team of guidance, my guidance system, which are who I consider to be my kindred spirits. So the archangels and goddesses and spirit guides and spirit animals and all kinds of energies that are around me that help to guide me through this process of being a healer and of being a psychic. Over time, that name has really expanded to include all of you, because you are my kindred spirits. You here at 12 Radio, all of our listeners, all of the other hosts, you guys are my kindred spirits. You are my spirit family. You guys know that. I love you all dearly, and I find a place of such connection and solace with all of you. And I think that you know that, but you definitely do really fill that place for me. And so not only do I come to the radio with my team of kindred spirits, but I also come to my radio to see my kindred spirits, which is all of you. So that's sort of how this all developed. After being here with 12 Radio for a year, I had the opportunity to become a producer. I hadn't really been a radio producer before, other than self-producing at Blog Talk. It's quite a bit more complicated what we do here at 12 Radio, but I was trained and learned how to produce radio, which honestly gave me a whole nother level of love for what I do. I love radio. I love every bit of it. I love being a producer. I love being a host. I love all of the stuff about radio. So for the last 4 years, I have been a host and a producer. And as you know, I'm on the air 3 times a week. So I have 1 2 News, Kindred Spirits, and then Katie and I co-host 1 2 News. And then we also have our co-hosted show, The Psychic Sisters, because of course that is our flagship show, our very first show ever. And one that I would never want to give up because I love what we do with the Psychic Sisters. It's really just a fun, really fun moment to get to celebrate because it's not just my 5-year anniversary on radio, but it's also my 5-year anniversary of being an advisor because almost immediately upon starting radio, I discovered that really I should also be an advisor because this is what I do. I was already a professional psychic, reading for people on the radio, reading for people in person and on the phone through my spiritual center. And so it was just a perfect fit. It was an amazing experience. One of the things that happened through all of that is not long after we began radio, my mom died. She had breast cancer and she passed away. She had been a guest on our show when we were on Blog Talk. She was a huge champion of the work that my sisters and I and my wife Rhonda do, and really a support to us. And it was a huge loss to us when she passed away. But Katie really credits her with us finding 1 2 Radio. She says that she was prompted to go searching for another opportunity, another medium to move our show to when we wanted to move from CBS, and that she found 1 2 Radio online through some prompting from our mom. And so she felt really guided to send that email that brought us here 5 years ago. Isn't that crazy? Very cool. I've always felt that my mom was with us and guiding us and supporting us ever since she passed. But certainly she actually brought us here, which I think is pretty awesome. Oh, I love what you guys are saying in the chat. Jane says, happy anniversary, Kristi Brower. Been with you the entire 5 years listening. Took Facebook off my phone, so won't be as active in chat, but I'm with you via the ethers. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Jane. And, you don't have to be in Facebook to listen because I feel all of you out there, whether you're in the chat or not, but I appreciate you being here for sure. Karen says, is there anything you can't do, Kristi? Well, you wear a lot of hats. Yes, math. Math, totally not my area. So thank heavens radio doesn't really require much of that. Oh, my goodness. So nice to have all of you here with me. I see lots of you chiming in and asking for readings, which I will definitely get to. I want to get to my topic here for a few minutes too, and then we'll do the meditation. So if you saw my article in the Power Peak, you guys know I write for the Power Peak that comes out every Saturday night. It's Mark Husson's newsletter. And I wrote an article about how we connect. So our thoughts are very powerful, a lot more powerful than we realize. Our thoughts control our energy body. Even if you don't realize that your thoughts control your energy body, it does. So have you ever been thinking about someone only to have them call you and say they felt like they should reach out to you? So there's a really simple explanation for that. When you think about someone, you reach out to them, touch them with your energy, which causes them to think of you. We interact with each other on so many levels that are invisible to us, but are very powerful. And one of those ways is through attachments and cords. And we're going to talk about that after the meditation. But I wrote a brand new meditation about the way that we are connected on the energy plane. I had this vision recently of how we are connected. Someone asked me a question about, what's the difference between an attachment versus how we are connected to each other in relationships? And this vision came to me. And so I wrote a meditation about it. And I want to share that with you. And then we're going to talk about attachments and connections and how our thoughts control our energy bodies and what does that mean for us. So I want to share this meditation with you first. So because I'm wearing multiple hats today, I do have to do the producer thing here for a moment and get my music queued up. Okay, so I'm going to start my music. This is my brand new meditation connections. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Allow your body to settle and your mind to go quiet. Join me on a journey to see the energy connections that we all share. Take a moment to feel your bubble of energy. Notice how it emanates out from your body, creating an energy space that is your own. Now look out from your bubble and see all of the bubbles around you. Notice that some bubbles are touching your own. You recognize your loved ones, friends, and family. This is love. You see other clusters of bubbles, people you know who are connected to their close loved ones. And then you notice that some bubbles are floating alone, not touching any other bubbles. This is loneliness. As you look farther out, you realize that all of the bubbles are floating in a giant bubble. This is the collective energy of all living things. This is how we are all connected. Take a few moments to take this in. Remember how this feels, the connected web of all living things, the collective consciousness. And now, take a few deep breaths and open your eyes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that meditation. I really enjoyed writing it because this is a visual that keeps coming to me that I feel like we need to talk about and that we need to understand how we are all connected on the energy plane. And then how that is a positive thing and a healthy thing versus how it can become an unhealthy thing, right? So the way that we view those bubbles connected to one another in our relationships, right? So we are clusters of bubbles that connect up in relationship. That makes sense, right? Now you see what I'm saying through the meditation. And you see how you see other groups of collective, other collectives of energy bubbles floating around, the people that you know who are connected to their loved ones and friends and family, and, how some people are not connected at all, and how that can be, difficult and painful for some of us if we don't have any of those connections. Now, what is the difference between that, which is the way that we connect in a healthy way, our bubbles that touch, right, versus attachments? Because I talk a lot about attachments and cords and clearing those kinds of things. I talk about those things here on the radio. I talk about those with you at One Two Listen. I teach about these things at One Two Academy. So we wanted to talk about what is the difference between those connections that are the connections of relationship versus attachments. So when you think about if you and another person in your energy bubbles, and those bubbles are touching because you're in some sort of relationship with that person. This is your sister, or this is your spouse, or this is your best friend, right? You're connected up. So those energy bubbles touching, that's a positive thing. That's how we form relationships, right? Well, what I'm talking about is when there is a cord that's connected from me to that other person. So it penetrates, my cord goes out my bubble into theirs and connects to them, right? So it has now violated their space. Those bubbles touch each other, but we still have our own space because we need that. That's how we stay healthy. That's how we stay connected to who we are as a person, is through that, having that separate but connectedness, right? So when a cord or an attachment violates that space, that's when we run into trouble. So that's the difference. Someone asked me a while back, what is the difference between a positive relationship where you feel connected to someone else and then an attachment that maybe creates some emotional issues between two people? So that's the difference. So our thoughts can create cords or energy attachments between us and someone else. So these cords are like tiny pipelines of emotional energy. So being connected to each other can be very confusing. We can't always tell the difference between our emotions and the emotional energy coming from the attachment, right? When there's a cord from me to you, there's a transfer of energy back and forth. So it's hard to tell what's me and what's you, because now our bubbles have been violated, basically. So learning to disconnect is very important. We all need our own space separate from those around us. We need to have our space within ourselves and our own energy, and then our bubbles need to touch other people in relationship. But those cords that penetrate the bubble, that's what I see as being not a positive thing. It can affect the way that you feel. You can have a lot of emotions that aren't actually yours and can be really confusing. It can be hard to differentiate between yourself and somebody else as far as making decisions and choosing what you want or what's best for you. When you feel connected to somebody else's emotions, you may make decisions about your own life that are actually based on what the other person needs or wants. So that's something to consider. It can be a negative thing if one of those attachments forms because we've had a strong emotional reaction to something that has gone on with another person. Those are emotionally charged thoughts. Emotionally charged thoughts can create those kinds of attachments. It can keep a situation of conflict going. You know how things sometimes just seem to escalate and escalate back and forth and back and forth? This is one of those issues that you can really, that you find that can be a real problem when there are attachments like that. So I wanted to share that meditation with you because I feel like it's important to understand the difference between being connected in relationship and being courted. So I hope that makes sense. Jane says, no sooner had you said to imagine our bubbles being connected, I envisioned the entire planet covered in bubbles, all connected, floating through space. It was amazing. Yeah, that's the very vision that I had that inspired that meditation, was that's how we all are connected and how we can work on that. What do we need to do to develop those connections of bubbles that touch? That's how we create love in our lives without taking the one step further and putting those cords through the bubbles that connects us too much. So then we don't have a separateness to our own emotions, so that we can tell the difference between ourselves and somebody else, what we want, what we need versus what someone else wants, what someone else needs. That can get very confusing. I've talked about this a lot in relationships that have ended. Sometimes you stay courted to a person you're no longer in a relationship with. And so maybe you continue to try to get back together over and over again. It doesn't work out, or you can't seem to move on to another relationship because you can't let go of that one. And it's often because of courting that happens. So anyway, that was a vision that I really wanted to share with you because it has a lot of meaning for me. I think that it does for you as well. I feel like a big part of what I am doing in this life is understanding myself and other people on the energy plane on a deeper and deeper level. That is something that I really want to do. It's something that I'm working toward. Always understanding better and being able to put it into words. I can see it, I can feel it, but how do I explain it? And I think that's a challenge for me. I think it's a challenge for all of us to explain some of those things. I know what it feels like. I can see it in my head, but to put it into words. And so this was, for me, another step in putting that into words. So I hope that resonated with you. I've really had a lot of fun developing that. Okay, so I want to talk about some gifts I want to give out today. So I'm going to give out 2 copies of my class bundle that I call Empath Training. So this is a 3-part series that includes my class being an empath, cord pulling, and spiritual protection. So these are 3 classes that are really beneficial for anybody who's an empath and struggling with that. I am also going to give out 2 10-minute readings with me over at 1-2-Listen. So just because I wanted to give some things away, and I'm excited to share with you, the time that I've had here. I know that I wouldn't have made it here 5 years without you. And I appreciate that so much. Okay, so when we're talking about connections, I like to share a stone every week. What's the stone of the week? And when talking about and thinking about connections, I always think of Fadden quartz. And so I'm going to hold this up so if you're watching the video, you can see it. I will also post a postcard in the chat of Fadden quartz. So Fadden quartz is a clear quartz that has a gas line, or it looks like a white line through it. You can see it on this one. It's got a white line through it. Fadden quartz is known as quartz that makes connections. That's what that line, the energy of that line makes connections between energies. So I have used Fadden quartz for a long time in crystal layouts. When I do crystal layouts in person, I hold the person's hand and we hold a piece of Fadden quartz together. I do also hold it in my hand when I'm working on someone by distance because it helps me to make that connection with them energetically. So anytime you're working on connections, connecting with your higher self, making a stronger connection with someone in your life, with someone you have a relationship with, this is a great stone to do that, is Fadden quartz. And so Fadden quartz is not hard to get. It's not particularly expensive. Sometimes they're little tiny pieces. I have, and I didn't get them all out, but I have a bunch of different Faddens, up from this small piece up to like a great big Fadden, because I love Fadden quartz. I love the energy of it. It is, I think it's from Pakistan, and it is just sort of one of those special formations of quartz, and you'll feel it when you hold it in your hand. That energy of connection, making you feel connected to all different kinds of things. And so it's important to have it in your toolkit, because sometimes you need to make a stronger connection with someone. And this is the stone to do that. So I'm going to take a moment and post a postcard of Fadden quartz in the chat so that you guys can see it if you're not on the video. But it's Fadden quartz. So it's just a clear quartz. That's how it's spelled. You can go out and find it. There's lots of ways to, to buy it. I'm sure you can get it online. It's a pretty simple one. It's not one of those ones that you have to worry about that gets faked or anything, which is nice because there are plenty of those out there in the world, unfortunately. Here we go. I'm going to post this in the chat just so that you can see it. This is Baden quartz. Okay, go get to some of your questions and comments in a little bit here in a few minutes, and I will do a couple of giveaways. Let's see, and if you have asked for a reading or a healing, I will get to that a little bit later on in the show too. Let's see. Thank you all very much for the congratulations on my 5 years. It's still kind of sinking into me, frankly. It feels like I can't believe I've been here this long, except I know that I have. I will say that the reason that I know what day my anniversary is because Facebook reminds me, which I think is kind of funny. I actually did take it and put it in my phone so that I will have it there as well, so that I don't have to rely on Facebook to remind me of things. Okay, so I think I'm going to look at the video and also in the chat, and I am just going to grab a name at random for the empath training kit, and I'm going to give that to Linda Testerman. So Linda, if you wouldn't mind private messaging me, I will tell you how to get that class bundle. So congratulations. I think that would be a great class bundle for you. I think it's a great class bundle for everybody. I'll post a link to it in the chat too. So if you don't happen to be somebody who wins it today, you can pick it up over at One Two Listen. I have set it at a special price for those 3 classes. So they are classes that I've already taught. And so it is now, they're now available as a recording, as a set of recordings of the classes. Okay, let's see. Put that in the chat. There we go. Okay, and let's see here. I'm going to, I think let's give out a 10-minute reading as well. So I'm just going to grab a name here. I'm just going to let Facebook sort of scroll for me so that I can see who jumps out at me that could really use this 10 minutes. Facebook won't be so slow. And I'm going to give that to Christine Vanderporten. So Christine, if you would like to message me, I'm going to give you 10 free minutes over at One Two Listen in honor of my anniversary. So thank you for being here today and listening to me today. Let's see. Okay, so I think I'm going to get to some of your reading requests, and then I will come back to giving away some more things. Sandy says, I'd like to ask if you see things improving for me at my new job. I hope I can stay there until I find something better. Okay, Sandy, let's take a look. Oh gosh, job stuff is so challenging, isn't it? Something that comes up over and over again. Okay. So, okay. A couple of things, Sandy. I do think that it can improve, but I think that part of it is, I don't think the situation itself is going to change very much, but I feel like your perspective on it, the way that you look at it, can shift, which can help you to be able to stay until you are ready to move on. I do think that you're going to move on fairly quickly. But here are a couple of things I want to say as far as perspective is concerned to help you. First of all, look at this job as it's being short-term, because you're going to move on to something better. And so you're here just for a little while until you make the leap to your next thing. Sometimes knowing that something will end really helps us to be able to tolerate it if it's something that's difficult. So instead of feeling like, oh, I'm stuck in this place forever, it's going to be so hard, try shifting it to, I'm going to stay here until I'm ready to move on to somewhere else. And so it is my choice. I'm just going to be here for a little while. So look at that perspective. I want to challenge you also to look at the people that you struggle with at work from a different perspective as well. Look at them from a place of love. Consider what maybe they may be struggling with right now in their lives, as far as where, if they're having a hard time that's coming out in their behavior at work. And so having some compassion for, and I'm not saying that you're not compassionate, I am sure that you are, but really challenging yourself to be more compassionate and look at someone that you struggle with at work and ask yourself, I wonder what's going on in their life that they are, that they can be so difficult or that they can be so unreliable. There must be really something going on for them that's causing this. And start to look at it from that perspective. I think those two things will help you in the time that you have left. But the idea that you can see this as being a short-term thing because you're moving on is a great thing. And I think will help you to be able to make that change. Okay, so really work on your perspective and then actively, consciously work toward getting another job at the same time. But being grateful for this one and recognizing, hey, I'm lucky that I have something that's paying my bills until I move on to something better, and see it in that positive light will help as well. Okay, so thank you, Sandy. Thanks for being here. Jessica says she's happy to be here and to watch my show. It's nice to have you here. Thank you, Karen. She says congratulations on 5 fabulous years. Thank you, Pamela. I really appreciate all your congratulations. It's really a lot of fun. Eva says thank you. Congrats on your 5 years. And thank you for all you do for us. Oh, I love what I do. I'm sure you can tell. And that's why I'm very happy to be here with all of you. Melissa says, happy anniversary, Kristi. Thanks for 5 years of wisdom and entertainment. Well, I do always strive for being entertaining. I will admit that. Maureen says, happy 5th anniversary. Happy anniversary from Carol. And happy anniversary from Linda. Lynn says she loves my meditations. Thank you. I want to remind you that my meditations are available for free download at kristibrower.com. You just click on free meditations. You'll see them all there. I will put connections there as well today. I'll pull it out of this show and put that there so that you can get it. Alice Shia says, we are so lucky. And I am so lucky too. I'm so lucky to be here with all of you. Okay. Linda says, can I please get a reading with my cruise medical? Okay. Worried about weight and blood issues. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by cruise medical, but I think I'm going to ask you to clarify that. Linda, if you're listening, will you clarify what you mean by that so that I'm sure that I'm looking at the right thing? So I'm going to come back to you. So just clarify that for me. Pamela says, thank you for sharing your journey with us. Thanks to you, I am diving into finding out what my health issues are and I'm taking action finally. Oh, Pamela, I'm so happy to hear that. I felt really prompted to share my health journey with you all because I know that I've learned some things that I can share and I appreciate your support, but I also want to share what I have learned about, managing your health and navigating health issues because I know that it will help someone else too. Let's see. Handy says, can I get a quick clearing for my home if you have time? You bet. Let's see, Handy. Let's just take a look. Oh gosh, there's lots of heavy energy there. I wonder if you're struggling with motivation and you're having a difficult time getting things done around your house. If you are, that is due to just the heavy energy that comes from just life. We tend to drop energy off in our homes and it builds up over time. And when the vibration comes down, it keeps our vibration down at home. And so it does affect it affects our motivation. It affects our desire to do things, sometimes coming home can make you feel bad instead of making you feel good. So we're going to clear all that energy out. And we're going to raise that vibration way up, bringing in all kinds of light and peace and good high vibrating energy that's going to make you feel energized and good when you walk in the door at home. We're just going to release all of that It's mostly just heavy emotional energy that gets built up in your home. There we go. So much better. I think you're going to feel a whole lot better about that. Okay. Liliana says, I would love an energy clearing. I feel a pain in my left side like someone punched me. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, Liliana, I'm going to say that I think that you should see your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to diagnose anything. I just feel like you ought to get checked out. Go have a physical. Make sure everything's okay. Your energy body, your vibration is a little low, but there isn't actually anything going on in your energy body in that area that would indicate to me any kind of pain coming from your energy body. So go get your physical body checked out, okay? Let's just make sure everything's okay there. Amber says, good morning, Kristi. Happy 5-year anniversary. Thank you so much. If you're doing messages today, may I have one regarding my current relationship? Sure. Let's see, Amber. Okay, so what I feel with you, Amber, is what I call a heart-throat block. And so there's a lot of emotional energy, a lot of feelings in your heart that you're having a difficult time getting them out. You're not expressing how you're feeling. It is affecting your relationship. I feel like there's some things that you need to say, some truth that you need to speak about what you really need and what you're feeling would be best for you. You know, you're not necessarily validating your emotions. Sorry, my little dog's jumping up on my lap. You're not always validating your emotions and saying how you feel. It's affecting your satisfaction in your relationship. And it is affecting your relationship in general because I feel like it's creating some resentment and some frustration between you and the person you're in relationship with. And so I feel like it's important for you to be able to speak those words. I'm going to do a little clearing with you to help release some of the pressure in there. One thing that happens in the energy body is that pressure builds up when those words get stuck and those emotions get stuck. And it feels like it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And then it's harder and harder and harder to say those words and communicate that. So I've just cleared away everything that I can clear away. And at this point now, it's up to you. You have to actually be the one to say the words, Amber. So that's important. So think about what is it that you need to communicate and be honest about. And remember that it is okay for you to speak up about what you need, okay? Thank you for your question. Linda says, she's clarifying for me, to work on a cruise ship, all crew needs to pass a medical exam to make sure one is fit. They do blood work and also take into account one's BMI. I see. Okay. I feel like they may have some things that they want you to do to ensure your safety and your fitness while working on the ship. But I do feel like you will be able to do that. Recognize that if you've got a blood pressure problem, make sure you're getting help for that. You know, lots of people have blood pressure problems, but there are things that you can do to help lower that, and, you know, you can stay in normal range. I do feel like they may encourage you to have some kind of a fitness program or something like that, but I do think that you will be able to do the job. Okay, so good luck with that. I hope that works out in your favor. Lynn says, are you able to check things like the liver? Was wondering if you could check mine, as I've been told my liver enzymes get high at times. Okay, so what I can do, Lynn, is look at the energy around your liver. I'm not going to do anything medical because I'm not a medical practitioner. But, think about that the liver is one of those filtering organs. Its job is to clean. It cleans the blood. It's one of its jobs. Now, think of that on an energy level, that its job because each organ has its own energy body. So it has a physical job, it has an energy job. So think about the liver. When a lot of times we look at the liver, we're looking at anger. That the liver helps to transmute the energy of anger. So if your liver enzymes are getting high, from an energy standpoint, what I feel like is happening is that you may be suppressing some anger, not really expressing it, not allowing yourself to feel it, and it's getting stuck in there, and it's blocking up the energy body of the liver. And that can affect the physical function of the liver too. Of course, it's always a multifaceted issue. Anytime you have a medical issue, there are reasons behind it that are energetic, but always physical and emotional, sometimes spiritual. You can't separate those all out. But I would say from an energy standpoint, I'm just going to do a little clearing from there. And I want you to think about in what ways do you suppress anger? Are there ways that you need to have a better release for anger, a better way to express anger, to say how you feel in certain situations so that you are not stuffing that and it getting stuck in the energy body of the liver, okay? So thank you for that question. Sharon says, I'd love a reading. I have a lot going on this week. Selling one house, buying another, and my grandmother passed. Oh, I'm so sorry. And we're dealing with family drama. I would appreciate any insight or any input or all of it. Yes. You know what I feel like you really need is a really good balancing and then a really good daily practice. You are a very strong person. You're going to get through all of this. But you need to remember that we all get overwhelmed. When there's too much going on, anybody can get bogged down. This is a time you could get sick. So I want you to really pay very close attention to your physical health. Are you eating right? Are you getting enough rest? Are you drinking enough water? All those basics. Are you taking very good care of yourself? I feel like you've dropped off on some of those things. You don't want to run the risk of getting ill in the middle of all of this. But I feel like your energy body just needs help to clear all of the chaos and the energy that's running through you all the time right now with what's going on in your life. So I would suggest that you get my energy breathing meditation if you haven't already. Go to KristiBrower.com to free meditations and download energy breathing and then do it every day. It helps to ground and center you and connect your root chakra. And then it also helps to clear stagnant energy from your energy body, bringing in new energy, releasing the old over and over again. And when you're in a high pressure, sort of chaotic period of your life, which is obviously what you're in right now, you want to be sure that you can stay healthy on the physical plane and the energy plane. Okay, so go get energy breathing and spend some time with it. I think you'll feel a whole lot better. So thank you so much for that question. I'm very sorry about your grandma, but I do feel this very strong energy inside of you. I think actually you feel very similar to your grandma that way, that there's a strength inside of you that you need to just call on and recognize that you do have. Pamela said, would love a reading to see if I'm on the right track dealing with my health issues. The short answer is yes. I feel like you are very much on the right track, Pamela. And so much of this is about trusting yourself, validating yourself that it's okay to seek help. It's okay always to advocate for yourself in the medical community. And if you are not getting what you need, to go somewhere else. I want you to remember that. You are in charge. So stand up for yourself. And if you don't feel like someone's listening to you, go see someone else. Okay? But I do feel like you're definitely on the right track. So thank you for that. Let's see. Janelle says, good morning. 5 years is awesome. Congratulations, Kristi. What a blessing those 5 years have been to so many people, myself included. Trying to stay true, but creating the life I want to live, but also having to be real that there are bills to pay. I have an interview today. Mixed emotions. Yes, Janelle, sometimes I feel like sometimes we get to live in the magical world and then other times we have to live in the muggle world, right? There are still bills to pay. There is still the reality of, the work that we have to do in order to maintain ourselves physically as well as our spiritual lives. And I feel you. I'm there, right there with you. And I just am going to send some really good energy to you for that interview today, that things turn out very positively for you, okay? Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Melissa says, I think I may have found a house for my new studio. It has good vibes and is larger than I had planned. Is this where Spirit wants me? I don't want to overextend financially. Your insight, please. Okay, so two things. The energy is great. It would be a great house. If it is too much financially, don't do it. Okay? Here's the bottom line. There is no wrong answer here. You will take the right place because you're doing it from a place of your intuition. And so even if a place feels right energetically, if it isn't right financially, keep looking. until you find something that has the right energy and is in the right price range. Don't push yourself beyond what you feel like you can do. It's not as though there's only one place. That just isn't the case. There are lots of them. So unless this is perfect for you on every level, keep looking. Okay? I love the energy of it, but I do feel the anxiety around the finances of it. I feel like it's important to recognize that you shouldn't saddle yourself with something you're going to regret later, okay? So very good question, and keep trusting your guts. Let's see. Okay, so I wanted to give, I have 2 more things to give away, and I already have, it's like I see your names light up, and then I know. So, Cheryl, you get my free 10-minute reading, so be sure to message me, and I will make sure that you can get that. And then for my last empath training class bundle, that is going to go to Dawn H. So Dawn, please message me and I will make sure that you get that class bundle. So grateful for all of you being here, and I just want to say thanks again. That's my way of saying thank you to all of you for being here with me for the last 5 years. I know I'm not going to get to all your questions, and I just want to say that I'm sorry. I'll get to as many of them as I can. But you can always find me over at One Two Listen. I will be there right after the show today, and I'm there every day in chat and on the phone. You can always schedule a time with me as well. I do have lots of time-based sessions and email readings available also. Try to make myself as available to you guys as I possibly can, but I know I'm coming down to the end of the show. Robin says, why are people, myself included, so grouchy today? We're not in retrograde anymore. Thoughts? Well, I will tell you that according to C.A. Brooks' the week ahead and Katie Weaver's the 1-2 weather report, today is a day of irritation. It's in the astrology, and I can't even tell you why because I don't remember exactly what they said. But that astrologically, this is a day where we all feel a little irritated. So I think it's important to just validate that and know that that's just part of the collective energy today. Take good care of yourself. Withdraw from situations that you need to. Take a break. Take good care of you. Encourage other people to do the same. Sometimes we all just need a little space. And I feel like this is one of those days where we all may just need a little bit of space. So if that is you, that's okay. Give yourself a break. And, if you need to have some space from someone else who's grouchy, that's okay. I feel like tomorrow is going to get so much better. Let's see. Liliana, really quick question here. How could we avoid getting someone's negative energy? And Jane says that does take skills, and Kristi Brower has great visualization meditations on her site for just that. And I do. One of the meditations that I have that would be helpful for that, Liliana, is called Clear Your Bubble. And it is a meditation that helps to clear away the energy that we pick up from other people, that we feel like, this isn't mine and it feels negative and I don't want to carry it anymore. So go get Clear Your Bubble from my meditation, from my free meditations at KristiBrower.com and practice with it. That is a great way to help. To understand how to shift your energy from being a sponge where you suck up the energy around you to being a bubble that is a barrier between you and other people. Because we all need that. We need a little bit of space that is just our own. So thank you so much for that question. I know I only have 1 minute left, but I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of you for being here today and every day and every week for the last 5 years. I appreciate that so much. I enjoy my time here with you so much more than I think you could even know. And Mark Husson and I were emailing yesterday about my 5-year anniversary, and he said, and here's to, 5 times that many more. And absolutely, I plan to be here for a very long time. So I just really appreciate all the opportunities that I've had to be here with you today. I hope that those of you who want a class bundle or a reading will message me and we can get that taken care of. I'm excited to get to share those things with you. I will be available for you over at One Two Listen after the show, and every day you will find me here on Mondays, of course, with the One Two News Show and Kindred Spirits, and on Thursdays with the Psychic Sisters. And as always, Thanks for listening to 12 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.